Yeah, that is a great bakery. All right, we are officially recording, so we're going to get this thing going. Thank you guys for being here, all the people that have joined us today, and thank you, obviously, to you as well, Lindsay, for being our expert today on the Myers-Briggs. If this is your first time joining for Knowledge Drop, I'll just run through the housekeeping real quick, and then we'll pass it over to Lindsay to let her open up her slide deck that she has prepared and go through all this stuff before we save some time for questions at the end. But you guys are already doing the first thing I would mention, which is feel free to use the chat box and communicate with each other during the chat when Lindsay's going through her slides. And then also feel free to use the question and answer box as well if you have questions that you don't want to forget, because we'll get to those at the very end. And as I mentioned, this is getting recorded, so we'll put this in the Knowledge Drop archive when this is all said and done, and you guys can share it to friends, family, whoever might be interested in knowing a little bit more about Myers-Briggs and how it can impact your life and your work and your relationships and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'll shut up and pass it over to Lindsay, who has a lot to say about this topic. I would know because I was her program leader for a year. And yeah, it comes up. Give her a glass of wine. And she'll be like, let me tell you what your personality type is. You're showing all the signs right now. So
it only takes one glass of wine.
Yeah, thanks for doing this.
It only does. Okay, so share my screen.
Yep.
And I'm going to start presenting to you guys.
Love it.
Can we see it? Are we good?
Yeah, looks perfect.
Okay. So what I will be dropping knowledge on today is the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or as I like to think of it, astrology for business majors. A little bit about me. My name is Lindsay, or I was part of Cousteau, which was Remote Year's third ever cohort to set off on the adventure. We ended almost a year ago, which is very dark. And I'm excited to share this with you guys today. So what we're going to go over are the preferences. There's 4 different categories and 2 in each. So there's 8 different preferences, which can combo together to 16 different types. And then we'll talk a little bit about what that all means. I want to say at the beginning here, I am definitely not an expert. I'm not certified to teach this. You can go through whole classes and things like that. I am just a very active enthusiast, and it's my main hobby.
Very active. So active.
Very active enthusiast. Pretty much after 1 or 2 glasses of wine, we will test you, and I have a pretty high success rate at coming out really, really close. And before we dive into anything, I want everyone here to take this with a grain of salt. Why? Several reasons. The first is it's kind of fake science. I'm going to elaborate. How Myers-Briggs Type Indicator first came to be, the questionnaire as we know it was first published in 1943. So 1, that's a long, long time ago, and humanity has definitely developed since then. 2, it was basically started by this mom, Catherine Briggs, who met her daughter's fiance, Isabel Briggs Myers, and thought he was a perfect match, but he saw the world in a completely different way than the rest of their family. So she got really curious. And then she was reading up on Carl Jung's work and cognitive functions, and we could really get in the weeds with that. But basically just trust me that most modern psychologists have debunked the cognitive functions as not a real thing. But what they were focused on is appreciating that everyone sees the world in a different way. So though it is a little bit fake science, and the establishment of this whole sort of personality characterization is on shaky ground, it works. So don't complain about it. It really, really is an insightful way to learn about others around you, which brings me to my next point, which is why I really, really like it, is because it's entirely about empathy. Cool, you can learn your type and you can find out more about you and how you work and where you struggle. But that's going to be more oh, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I had never thought of it that specifically before. Where its strength comes in is helping you better understand the people that you work with and who are around you. Example, I'm an incredibly extroverted person. It's very, very hard for me not to take personally when introverts need their alone time away from me to recharge their batteries. I know it's what they need, but I will never understand it fully. Though knowing that means that my feelings aren't heard, and I don't think that they hate me. It's just they need to rest for a little. And I also want to say the reason a lot of people don't like Myers-Briggs is because companies, huge corporations, will use it for job placement. And I think that that's really, really dumb. I don't think that you should place anyone according to their Myers-Briggs Type Indicator. In fact, I'm a big believer in the fact that if something doesn't come natural to you, you'll actually end up being better at it because you have to work harder at it. Perfect example, the general manager of my company He's an ISFJ, which is the most conflict-averse type out of all of the 16 types. And he was in sales for years and years and was really successful at it. And I think him putting himself in a situation where networking events probably weren't his favorite thing, and, you know, arguing with people and negotiating weren't his favorite thing, because he had to work at it, he was really successful at it. All right, so the first category is how you get your energy. Are you more of a social butterfly? Do you like to talk to people to gain your energy? Or do you need your alone time in your room with a book or a TV show to recharge your batteries? If you get your energy from other people, it's more of a social thing for you, then you're an extrovert. But if you get your energy more for alone time and you need to recharge your batteries, and like you can do a networking event, but like you gotta lock yourself in your room after that, then you're an introvert. But then another thing to remember about MBTI is that it's a trait-based approach. So it's a sliding scale. Like, you're never going to be all or one thing. Ambiverts exist. Like, really social introverts, like, totally exist. They're friends of mine who everyone's always surprised when they find out that they're an introvert. But, like, I've seen them go in their room and lock themselves in there for 4 hours so that they can get their energy back up and prepped. Next up is how you take in information. So I chose Maurice because when he walks into the castle in Beauty and the Beast, great film, he is like touching everything. He's investigating everything with his hands. He's seeing the world and this new place around him with his senses. And then I included this phenomenal GIF from The Hangover that's definitely overused because the next is sort of a little bit more analytical. They don't necessarily relate exactly what is in front of them. They look for patterns. They look for meanings. They look for ideas associated with the information that they're taking in. So this is sensing. If you kind of resonated more with the pays attention to physical reality, the 5 senses are really important to you. If you're more sensing, a little bit more detail oriented. And then if you were more, no, I think impressions, meaning and patterns makes sense to me, then you're intuitive. Intuitive are a little bit more analogy oriented. I'll give you an example. As I said, it takes like 1 to 2 glasses of wine until I start bothering strangers about this. And I was doing it with a guy that I had met, and I picked up an empty pack of cigarettes from the table and asked him to describe it, because that's sort of the question you describe when you ask people to take in information, and then you listen to their answer. If they're describing the actual thing in front of you, it's white, it's gold, there's lettering on it, it says Guinea gold, it's a pack of cigarettes, it's empty, the lid is off. That's more sensing. This guy answered, it does nothing for me. That was his description of the item in front of him. It was probably the most intuitive answer I've heard. The next step is how you make decisions. So this is sort of, are you a little bit more logically based, efficiency based? Are you considering how the solution or how the decision will impact everyone around you? If you said more efficiency, logically oriented, then you're thinking, which is problem first, people second. We're going to fix the problem in the best way possible, and then we'll worry about the fallout. If you thought that you were more concerned with people, then you're feeling, which is people first and problem second. These are the friends who, if you come to them with a problem, they want to go chat it out. They want to go grab a coffee. They want to hear about it. And the thinkers are a little bit more, here's a solution to your problem, on to the next topic of conversation. This is actually the only one with a gender bias. So there are more women that are feelers and men that are thinkers. And it's pretty obvious, in my opinion, when you find the female thinkers and the male feelers. They're definitely telling signs, because it's sort of not the societal norm and expectation. Last but not least is how you are in the workplace. Are you a big lists fan? Are you super organized? Do you like agendas for meetings? Do you get annoyed if people derail from the agenda? Or are you a little bit more organized chaos? There's a place for everything and you know where it is and no one can figure it out but you. Are you a little bit more walks into a meeting and likes to chit chat and sort of spice up the meeting and get conversation going that way? So if you said you preferred more spontaneity and organized chaos, you're perceiving, and your desktop background probably looks something like that, which is similar to what mine looks like. And then if you thought you were a little bit more list organized, that's judging. I'm going to tell you one of my favorite analogies about it and how Myers-Briggs can help you deal with like people in the workplace. So the P goes to ask the J to lunch. Leslie Knope is like an absolute J, which I hope makes sense after seeing a little bit of this presentation. The P goes to ask the J to lunch, and the P says, hey, do you want to go get lunch today? And the J says, I don't know, I'll let you know. The P's like kind of hurt because the P would just say yes if they wanted to. So they go back to their office and like, oh, that's kind of a bummer. I wonder why they didn't want to have lunch with me. Lunchtime rolls around and the J comes knocking on the door, kind of annoyed, like, I thought we were going to lunch. The J needed time to rearrange their schedule, see if it could fit. And they're now annoyed that the P is not ready and on time because they already know and expect that they're going to lunch, have picked out the restaurant, and know exactly what they're going to order and what time they're going to be back in the office. However, the J goes to ask the P to lunch, and the J says, do you want to go to lunch? The P immediately says, yeah, sure. And the J says, well, what do you want? P says, I don't know. The J's like, how can you not know? How is that information unavailable to you? So how you deal with the P is giving them yes or no options. You ask them, do you want Italian? No. Do you want sushi? No. Do you want Thai food? Ooh, yeah, let's get Thai food. And then you go. And here at the end, once you've picked one preference out of the 4 categories, you'll come up with 16 types. So ENTP, that's what I am. And I'm not going to get into like the characteristics of each and every one of them right now because we would be here for 18 hours. But I am going to show you a couple of groupings to give you an idea of people that you would work really well with and enjoy being around. So the first are the analysts. This is my group. You've got the INTJs, INTPs, ENTJs, and ENTPs. These folks all really enjoy working together. They're very direct communicators. Like you do not need to worry about stepping on their toes, adding any fluff to the language, give them the information, the facts, make it as efficient as possible. It's pretty hard to hurt their feelings. They're also incredibly efficient problem solvers and analysts. The diplomats, these are your people. You've got the INFJs, the INFPs, ENFJs, and ENFPs. People are like where this group lives. They are very motivated by bettering the world around them or bettering the people around them. These are the people who give you the feel goods, essentially. Sentinels. For anyone who doesn't know what sentinels means, it means like a guard. These are the very duty-oriented people. You've got the ISTJ, ISFJ, ESTJ, and ESFJ. These are the people who do things just because you're supposed to do them for other people or as a way to solve a problem. Very, very into societal order and traditional roles. And last but not least, the explorers. If you're on remote year, grab one of these people anytime you want to go on an adventure, and they're going to make it a lot better and a lot more fun for you. You've got ISTP, ISFP, ESTP, and ESFP. These are the people, they're very, very present. They're immersed in the world around them. And sort of have heightened senses, all doers, essentially. So here's some resources. The first link is the 16 Personalities free personality test. The reason why I like this one is because it gives you a sliding scale, so you can sort of see where on the spectrum you land in between extrovert and introvert, etc. But it does have the tendency to get it wrong, and you do kind of need to mesh out exactly if it's the right type for you. The next one is, there's like a lot of fun typings online of fictional characters, and my favorite is this blog. It basically just like assigns Myers-Briggs blogs to folks or like to fictional TV characters, like book characters, etc. And then finally, the official Myers-Briggs website. Great place to find out more about the history, the purpose of it, etc. Finally, questions. Contact information is on the side. I think you'll notice a theme across all of my contact info. It's just my name. I am going to exit out of present mode so I can see any questions in the Zoom. And I also thought it might be fun if you guys wanted, if you wanted to type your Myers-Briggs, if you know it, into the Zoom, and I can guess a few things about your personality based on your type.
Woo! Thanks, Lindsay. That was awesome.
I'm catching up on the chat now. I'm laughing.
Yeah, you want to jump out of screen share too, and we can see. Or I can maybe do that.
Yeah. You want me to share my screen so they can see the chat? Or
no, just to exit out of screen share so they can see.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Our beautiful faces more. There we go.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. And then people are into this game. This is great.
Yeah. Okay.
So the first one was it. Yeah, there's a bunch of ENFPs. So maybe just talk about what you know about ENFPs, myself included.
ENFP is Travis. So ENFPs, they are like the most amazing people to like be in front of you. Like they make you feel just so listened to and so heard that you can spot them a mile away because they actually ask you follow-up questions and genuinely care about the answer instead of waiting for their turn to speak at you. But they're terrible texters. Getting them in front of you is very difficult and hard. Like they'll show up when they show up. Okay. ESFJ, this is like, there are a bunch of different names for it, but this is the console, like very into, they're very, very supportive people, very, very into like traditional roles. Like my female coworker who is an ESFJ was like, I get that like maybe some people don't want to take their husband's last name, but that's what I want. Like marriage and family, those sort of like societal pillars are really important to them. ENTP, the best one, but biased. We are the debater. We are the most conflict friendly of them all. Like we're just sitting there waiting for someone to disagree with us so we can have like a non-heated argument that will sound heated to other people and like walk away feeling like we learned something. We'll also argue a point that we don't believe in just for fun. It's for fun. It's so fun. Travis is like, why would you fight with people? And I'm like, because it's great.
Because it's fun. Makes me happy.
ISFJs are very, very dutiful people. Like they are like I don't understand like their commitment to like doing the right thing and serving others. And like the fact that they're willing to give so much just because like that's what you're supposed to do. I have a lot of respect for the ISFJs. ISTJ, did you ever want to be a police officer? Because like anytime a police officer in a TV show or like a fictional thing is typed ISTJ, they're typed as ISTJ, like very traditional type of folks. Okay. Haha, not at all. Who was that one? ISTJ, ISFJ? All right, so you don't...
That was about not wanting to be a police officer, I think.
Oh, not at all? Okay, yeah. I mean, there's other, like, traditional... Like, for me, ENTP, anytime there's an inventor, it's an ENTP, and I'm like, I have no imagination about inventing any sort of product whatsoever.
Do you know, is there a type that's, like, most likely to love Myers-Briggs? Is that your type?
Yeah. It is.
That's, like, super meta, but I love, like, thinking about that.
It is. So, because the reason ENFPs will like it, and they'll think it's useful, but they won't be as obsessed with it because they respect that like people are individuals and like everyone, but like the reason the ENTPs love it so much is because we like figuring out systems and how to revolutionize them and like seeing how cogs work in between things.
That makes sense.
We don't have a lot of, no explorers in here, which is interesting.
I have another just random question, not on the same game, but keep putting your types in here if you haven't had yourself analyzed yet by Lindsay. I was thinking though, is there like because I noticed even when we were like slacking about this knowledge drop and stuff, there was a lot of ENFPs, my people, being like, ENFP for life, like what's up? Are there certain personality types that are just like larger percentages of the general population?
Yes, there are.
And like, would you also say, are there certain that you think are more likely to be like on remote year or I guess I'll let you wander with that.
Yeah. Okay. So 2 in my personal opinion. Oh, hi, Julianne. So before I answer your question, Travis, the T and the A, that's a 16 personalities thing that like they added on that's extra. That's not actually a part of Myers-Briggs. So I don't pay attention to it. I actually am not sure what it means. It's just like a little extra thing that they do, but there is information on their website about why they did it and what it means. So there are more popular types. The most popular type is ESFP. And it's an explorer. And I should have figured out that there were 2 people on our group who were ESFPs when we did the Death Road mountain biking tour in Bolivia, and they set out streaming down this paved highway where trucks and cars are going, having the time of their lives, like total adrenaline junkies, like love a good adventure. So ESFP is one of the most popular, and I could definitely see it being a remote year personality that's pretty prevalent. Also, remote year is a lot about community, and that's like in a lot of their sort of marketing materials and documentation. So I'm also not surprised that ENFP is pretty prevalent here, because it's all about peoples and communities and learning about other people, and you do that by traveling the world.
Awesome.
The most rare is INFJ. And ENTPs are decently rare too, which is good because you don't want that many conflict averse people. ESFJs are decently popular. I think they're about 12% of the population, which is good because we need those people to keep us a part of our like moral standards and from society completely turning on its head.
Are there any like countries that are like mostly this type?
So America definitely, like in the workplace specifically, like America favors extroverts. Absolutely. Like you probably feel a lot of pressure as an introvert, like to be more social and outgoing than you are. They also favor the judging type versus the perceiving type. I don't really know any like statistics around any other countries, but I can tell you in North America, extroverted is definitely preferred. That's why all Americans are loud, guys.
Yeah, it's like that book Quiet that got a lot of love, I think mainly because she was making a really articulate point about like we shouldn't treat it as like a second like tier type of people.
And people totally do, and it's so stupid.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, you need both.
You do, and like I did not know, I really did not believe until remote year that everyone needed time to themselves to like re-energize. Like I did not think that was true for me. I thought I got 100% of my energy from other people. But travel the world with 70 other people for a full year, and you will find you do need alone time.
Yeah, no, I fall in that boat too. I'm very extroverted, but I like last night I just like watched a movie and like felt really good staying in to just like chill out for a night every now and then.
Yeah.
I have a question. Did you, and guys, feel free to continue to ask questions in the chat box or the question and answer box. But do you buy into this stuff in terms of like marriage counseling and that type of thing? Like, do you think there's some logic there? Because I actually use like a master for like our program leaders to like talk through like what they might expect to find as like things that they love about each other and things that they kind of have, you know, maybe a more likelihood to have issues around based on their Myers-Briggs personality types. And it's always seems like almost too real. Like the computer knows who I'm talking about, and they're like, "Whoa, that's us," which is cool.
Especially since they work together, though they're working together like 24/7. But like Myers-Briggs is definitely more for like the workplace than like anything personally related. However, it depends a little bit on the type. I think like I can use myself as an example. ENTPs, like we don't mince words. Like we are blunt. We say what's on our mind, and like we expect to be treated in kind. So like I've had to train myself to understand that other people don't really appreciate direct communication, and don't and like also curb my annoyance when someone's like feeding me all the fluff and like not getting directly to the point, and also communicating, no, like it's okay, you can get to the point, like I'm not sensitive, like you're not gonna hurt my feelings. So I think it depends kind of on the type. It like in general, like I said, like analysts, if you know that type, like they're going to prefer direct communication, and they're going to get annoyed if you don't present them with anything but the facts. What in personality types would be so good in finding partnerships in business, etc.? If you want a business partner, find yourself an ENTJ. People are ruthless, but they're really good at it, and like get out of their way because their solution is going to be better than yours. ENTJ is like the leadership profile. They're great idea generators. They're great about goals. They're great about executing those goals. My coworker, who is an ENTJ, Snapchatted or Instagram storied rather last night her goal setting session for 2018, which had her laptop and 2 different notebooks next to it. That's an ENTJ. You want them as your business partner. INTJs are also really effective, though they have absolutely no desire to manage and like be in a people leadership role. They're incredibly effective at solving problems and figuring things out and setting up like huge systems for you.
Awesome. Well, Man, that was really fun. And thanks for giving us your insight. I love this stuff. I remember back in the day, like in our month 12, I think our whole community got even extra into this because when Johnson's friend came, and I remember I couldn't make it to that session, and then they were like, let's guess somebody that you guys all know, and you guys did me, and you like
You're
had it
so an
spot on.
ENFP.
Yeah, and then everybody was like writing me like, we guessed your Myers-Briggs type, and I was like, wow, there must be some magic to this because even just you guys like spending a year with me, it was like super easy to figure it out.
Yeah, and if you guys know anyone who's curious about it, like hit me up on Slack. I'm happy to chat about this 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I've gotten like very, very, very good at guessing people's. But then again, like, yes, every person is a unique and beautiful snowflake, and like it doesn't work for everyone. I have a very good friend of mine who's just never really been able to find her type, and that's chill too. At least she has an idea of what her preferences are.
There you go. So yeah, reach out to Linz. She's still on Slack, even though she's a citizen. So you can find her there. And thank you guys for joining us. Thanks again, Lindsay, for wanting to share this with the nation. Although, you're happy to share it with everybody. It sounds like even the guy next to you at the bar or whatever.
Oh, every Friday night, Travis. Every Friday night.
Thanks again, guys. We'll be back with the next knowledge drop 2 weeks from now. Cheers.
Bye, guys.
And ciao.